Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, when I start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. And Shalom to all the sincere Akwath. And Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be based on these life-threatening storms that target the heartland, intense tornadoes, and huge hail possible. That's as you can see, the headline of this article. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this, give some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says, Central U.S. rocked by tornado outbreak. Widespread storm damage reported from plains to Midwest. Said a relentless and far-reaching severe weather outbreak tore across the central United States on Friday, leaving behind a wide swath of damage and millions under threat. More than 100 tornado warnings were issued as storms carved a destructive path stretching roughly 1,500 miles from the plains into the Midwest. Multiple tornadoes were reported, with Fox weather storm trackers intercepting several tornadoes, capturing first-hand looks into the danger and intensity of the tornado outbreak. Communities across several states are now assessing damage after powerful winds and possible tornadoes tore apart structures, downed trees and power lines, and left neighborhoods in disarray. More than 100,000 customers across the Midwest, including Illinois, Wisconsin, and Missouri, remained without power, with additional outages reported in other impacted states after relentless severe storms battered the region. The storms also triggered widespread power outages, compounding the impact for those in hardest hit areas. At the peak of the outbreak, more than 50 million people across 1,500 miles were under the threat of severe weather as dangerous storms produced large hail, damaging wind gusts and tornadoes throughout the day and into the late evening. While the most intense activity begins to shift, the threat is not over. Additional rounds of severe weather are expected into Saturday, so stick with Fox Weather for continued coverage and updates as this dynamic and dangerous weather pattern evolves into the weekend. It says severe storms are hammering the Midwest and leaving a growing trail of damage in their wake, knocking out power to more than 100,000 customers across the region, according to PowerOutage.com. The relentless onslaught of severe weather tore through communities Friday, and the threat is far from over as it pushes into Saturday. Illinois is taking the hardest hit, with more than 60,000 customers in the dark. McLean County alone accounts for over 20,000 of those outages, highlighting just how concentrated and intense storm impacts have been in central Illinois. Missouri is also reeling, reporting upwards of 35,000 outages scattered statewide as powerful storms continue to strain infrastructure. In Wisconsin, more than 15,000 customers are without electricity, with several areas reporting a significant storm damage after a volatile day of weather. This is a rapidly evolving situation as dangerous storms continue to track across the region. Yeah, so, just like myself and other brothers have been saying, the Lord is intensifying these storms and tempests. 2 Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And that's right, perilous, dangerous, hazardous, unsafe times. And we are clearly living in those times. And as I've said before, as the weather gets warmer, these storms are going to get more powerful and more intense. The rain, the lightning, the tornadoes. It's all going to get a lot more intense, a lot more destructive, and a lot more deadly. Isaiah 29:6, thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. And that's exactly what the Lord is visiting the world with: storms, tempests, fires, and earthquakes. And right now, the central part of the U.S. is getting hit with a lot of tornadoes and hail. Isaiah 28:2, behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail, and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And clearly, the Lord has sent these destroying storms. Homes have gotten destroyed, different businesses and buildings have gotten damaged, trees have been uprooted out of the ground, power lines have gotten snapped. Just a lot of destruction. And then, you throw the hail in there, you know, that causes its own type of destruction. And that's why we are constantly saying that there is no getting around the validity of these scriptures. People want to sit here and talk about, oh, the Bible it's a man-made book. It's all make-believe. It's not real, And it's like, you don't understand it because the Lord has not blessed you with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of these scriptures. That's why you can't understand that the scriptures basically predict what's going to happen, or they're basically the things that are happening were basically foretold in the scriptures. Like the scriptures tell us that there's going to be storms and tempests and fires and earthquakes, and now that's basically what we see almost on a daily basis. But yet people are so simple-minded and so carnal that they don't understand that, the, the scriptures speak of these things. These people, they don't want to give credit to the Lord. They want to say, oh, it's Mother Nature. Oh, always wanting to give the Lord's credit to somebody else. That's why the Lord is going to wipe out these people. Because even when it's clear as day and right in front of their face, these people, they'll still deny it. Psalms 11:6, upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and in horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. And when you look up the definition of tempest, it means a violent windy storm, such as hurricanes or tornadoes. And out there in the central part of the U.S. and in the Midwest, they're getting hit with so many tornadoes. Like every time you turn around, there's like 2 to 4 tornadoes touching down somewhere, just causing destruction. The Lord is not messing around. We are undoubtedly living in the last days. And dangerous, hazardous, unsafe times are here. And it's just going to get worse. Psalms 83:14, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Verse 15, so persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And clearly that's what the Lord is doing. He's sending these tempests, these powerful, destructive winds, and he's making people afraid. He's sending that torrential rain, that loud thunder, that lightning, that hail, and people are afraid. People are sheltering in place. People are hiding in their basement. People are panic buying before the storms hit because they don't know how severe it's going to be. So people are running up in their local supermarket, grocery store, whatever, and just clearing the shelves because they're afraid. You see, this is exactly what we're talking about. the scriptures say something, and then you take a look at what's happening in real time, and it links perfectly with what the scripture said would be happening. There is no getting around that. The scriptures say, and make them afraid with thy storm. And then you see how people are moving in these areas that are experiencing these storms, and they're moving like people who are afraid. Like, it's funny. It's funny because we're seeing the scriptures come to life. But these carnal people, they can't see it. And that's because the Lord is not dealing with them. Hebrews 10:31, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And that's right. It is a fearful, terrifying, scary thing to fall into the Lord's hands. And a lot of people experience that on a daily basis when it comes to these judgments. Whatever that judgment may be, that is them falling into the Lord's hands. Someone's house is on fire and they get wounded or even killed. That's them falling into the Lord's hands. The Lord's sending these tornadoes, people's homes getting destroyed. When people get into car crashes, when people get attacked by wild animals, all of these are them falling into the hand of the Lord. These are terrifying and scary experiences. But that's what happens when you are wicked and the Lord is angry with you. He's going to bring some terrifying judgment upon you. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is meant to be taken very seriously, and a lot of people lack the ability to take it seriously. People have this I can do whatever I want spirit on them. And it's like, no, you can't. You can't do whatever you want. The Lord controls what people do. So all the people that are out here being wicked, the Lord gave them over to that. Because they were wicked in the past, they're wicked in the present, and they're going to have the same fate, which is they're going to die. You see, things are only going to get worse all across the board. The economies are going to get worse, and the cost of living is going to increase, the cost of gas, the cost of groceries. There's going to be more wars. There's going to be more, division amongst the people. There's going to be more conflicts, more protests. Eventually, it's going to turn into civil wars and race wars. There's going to be more fires and storms and tempests and earthquakes and volcano eruptions. There's going to be more shootings and stabbings. There's just going to be more chaos. Because that's what the last days are going to be full of, which is what we're living in. And the further we get into these last days and closer to the end, the worse things are going to get. Suck, yeah. Luke 21:36, watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. And that is exactly what those of us of the hopeful elect are doing. We're watching. We're always watching. Whether it's watching the news, whether it's watching brothers' videos, whether it's just watching what's going on around us in our own, little area. And we're praying. And we're hoping that the Lord accounts us worthy to escape all the destruction and the death and the chaos and the miseries that we know He's about to unleash upon this earth. See, these wicked, simple-minded people out here, they have no idea what's about to happen. And even when you try to explain it to them, they're like, oh, well, the government is going to protect us. Or they'll tell you that they have, a little bunker with, a bunch of food and water saved up, so they'll be fine. They're trusting in carnality. They're not trusting in the Lord. And that carnality is just going to lead to their destruction. The scriptures even tell us, for to be spiritually minded is life and peace, but to be carnal is death. To be carnally minded is death. So all these carnal minded people, they're going to die. And those of us who are spiritually minded and we're praying to the Lord, and to the best of our ability, we're serving the Lord, Adawan Ratazah, we're of the elect, and we get delivered. But we definitely have a better chance than the rest of these people. In 1 Peter 3 and 12, it says, the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. So for those of us who, Adawan Ratazah, we are of that righteous number. We are of the elect. The Lord hears our prayers when we ask for, more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. When we ask for him to continue to keep his hedge of protection over us, he hears that. But when it comes to these wicked people, the Lord is not listening to them. He's angry with them. He hates them. He's against them. And he's going to destroy them. And rightfully so. Because every day these people, they provoke the Lord unto wrath with their constant wickedness. And even though the men of the Lord are constantly, daily warning these people and explaining to them the consequences of what they're doing, they're not going to listen. The Lord has put a carnal, wicked, stubborn spirit on these people. The only way to help them is for the Lord to kill them. And so that's exactly what he's going to do. And in some of those ways, in some of those ways, it will come in the form of tornadoes and floods and fires and earthquakes and violence. Those are some of the ways in which the Lord is going to destroy these people. The Lord is not going to be gentle with these wicked people. He's going to pour out his wrath upon them. And that's what we're seeing right now with these storms and tempests. These tornadoes that are just sweeping through towns and destroying people's homes. That's the wrath and the anger of the Lord. The Lord is not messing around. He never was. And it's just going to become more evident as time goes on and these judgments get worse. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath. And shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up in Adawan, Ratazah. Till next time, shalom.